Rita, I'm so glad we had a chance to schedule this time so we can have this conversation. Joining me today is Rita Marrari, and she's a health and wellness coach. My name is Sandra Corrado, and I'm an integrative wellness coach and practitioner. And we decided to get together to have a discussion, a brief discussion on how we deal with stress. We deal with stress on a daily basis, and during this time, we are under intense stress, many of us. So we thought it would be beneficial for us to share what works for us and also what we share with our clients as well. So Rita, maybe you can start the conversation. What are some things that you found very beneficial for you?
Well, first of all, thank you so much, Sandra. I am honored to be here on your platform and sharing. Yeah, these are crazy times and very stressful times. And I feel that possibly the uncertainty and the fear of getting sick has pushed people into that high stress, those high stress levels. And unfortunately, with the lockdowns and all that, our immune system tends to drop with stress, as we know. And then we're also told to stay indoors, which also doesn't help our immune system. So I like to tell my clients that above everything, you still need to eat healthy. And by healthy, as you and I know, that does not mean processed foods. You want to try and eat as healthy as possible, being whole foods. Your fruits and vegetables, fresh or frozen, nothing in a box or a cookie bag is whole food or good for you. It's highly processed with GMOs and everything that we want to stay away from. So first, I tell my clients to eat well. And as we know, there's not enough nutrients in our foods these days because of depletion of soils and whatnot. So you need to be on a high quality, good quality supplement to bridge that gap. So what I've done is I've increased my supplementation so that I can accommodate and keep my immunity up. So that's my one tip. Another tip is to get outside. They tell us to stay indoors, but try and get outside and be active as much as possible. I know, Sandra, you are an instructor, so you like to get active yourself and get your clients active. And that it boosts our immunity, right? So what I do is I get outside, and we just have a new puppy. I'm a new fur mom. So with that, I get her outside, we go to the park, we go for a run. I'm getting out in the outdoors, and that being out in the outdoors helps to ground you and kind of de-stress you. If you're out go for a walk in the woods. Like the forest and the trees really help to reduce those stress levels that we build up. It's a little cold right now, but a great one that I love to do is take your shoes off, take your socks off, and just walk in the grass. And that just helps to ground you. Hug a tree. I've done it. Hug a tree, right? And one of the other tips that I've found, and I absolutely love essential oils, recently, Calm, it's a brand that's been launched, and it's got some amazing essential oils. And I honestly didn't think that it would work as well as it does, but it comes in a balm. I bring it with me. It's in my purse, and I just put it on my wrist and just at the back of my neck. And honestly, Sandra, I didn't think that it would work, but it really just calms me down. I love it.
Yeah, I love essential oils as well, and I find them very, very calming, soothing. Actually, you can use essential oils for a lot of different things. It just depends on, what scent you love, the purpose of the oil combination. So yeah, I love essential oils as well. They're one of my go-to tools as well. So I started to do some research on stress techniques or dealing with stress a number of years ago because I burnt out in 2003 and I couldn't figure out what got me there. So I decided, I went on a journey and started to do some research, and I started to check in, with my body, check in with, different readings, taking different workshops. And so as a result of that, I learned a lot of different strategies and things I wasn't even aware of back then. So when I'm feeling stressful, I check into a few different things for myself. I check in first, did I have enough water today? In my research and reading Dr. Batmanjalija's book and the research that he did, I found that when we're even just slightly dehydrated, he talks even just 3% dehydrated, our body goes into physical stress, which then means that we go into emotional stress. So I start to check there. Have I had enough water? And like you talking about food, have I had enough food, like proper food for today? Then I look at my posture, because if I'm feeling stressed or if I'm depressed, usually my shoulders are forward and then my head goes down. So I'm not able to take a full breath, which means that I have less oxygen in my body, and I'm creating anxiety in my body just by going into that stress mode. This is like a stress or depressed mode. Mm-hmm. As soon as I lift my shoulders up and my head up, I feel differently. So when we look up at the sun, we feel light. But when we look down at our feet, usually that type of body posture is about someone who's, in worry. So I check that. And then I correct my posture. Then I ask myself, what is it that I'm thinking? And am I present or am I in the future? Am I worrying about something or a lot of things? I loved a quote that I stumbled on a number of years ago, and it's by Mark Twain. And he said, I've had a lot of worries in my life, most of which never happened. And I remember when I read that, I thought, that's so true. A lot of the things I was worrying about that were in the future, not in the now, never happened. But I allowed my mind to go into that spinning cycle, and I would get worried and get upset and feel stressed. So that was a great thing for me to learn. And then also refocusing the focus. So if my mind is in the future and I'm worried, then what is it that I'm believing? Mm-hmm. Do I believe I am successful in dealing with perhaps a stressor, or do I believe that I will never be able to accomplish something because that creates stress? So shifting the focus, examining belief systems as well. Mm-hmm. And I do that in the now. I'm feeling stressed. I'll just check in. What am I thinking? What belief is coming up? And then I'll challenge the belief. Is this true right now? Or is this true in the future? And I find that really helps. And then also with respect to, the source of the stress, like, thinking about it, yes, that creates stress, but there can be other things like external factors. Yeah. Have I first of all identified the source of the stress? And what is it that I'm able to do? Maybe I don't have all the answers, but am I able to do some research? Am I able to find some resources? Can I ask a question of someone that may have that resource or could direct? Because as soon as I start to feel in control, mm-hmm. then I'm not in that same out of control stress. Just taking those actions helps calm me down. And also the other thing I found was with respect to boundaries, dealing with the stress. As women, we have the tendency to always give and put other people first. And I would forget about myself. And it was a learned behavior. So I had to learn that, I couldn't say yes to everything because then I don't have a place in my day. So I would schedule certain things. If I was ever asked for assistance from someone, I would go through a questioning process. Am I able to help that person? Do I have the time? Or do I have things that I need to get done? If I'm not able to help that person, how can I help them? Is there someone that I can maybe connect them with if they would get the help? Or could I give them a word of maybe encouragement or maybe a resource that might help them? So I'm still helping, but I may not help them exactly as they needed it, but it's enough to help them get through, that moment to help them.
Yeah.
And I also found that helpful for myself, knowing that it was okay for me to say no, that boundary. So these are things that I check in with and use very frequently. And I know our conversation can go on because we both, being in this work, we have a lot to share.
Absolutely. Yeah, saying no is a big one that honestly, Sandra, I struggle with. I really do struggle with because, having two young children, I have a mom who's not well. She's 88, and
Mm.
I belong to the school committee and this and that, and I have to sometimes just check in and say, you can't do this. And if you do, you're going to put added stress onto your life, right? So I've actually allowed myself to be able to say no. And it has really, really helped me a lot. And also, one other thing I do is I schedule time for me time. It's
Mm.
my time to do what I care to do, whether it be read a book, have a tea, have a bath, and it's uninterrupted me time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I find that very important as well.
Yeah.
And I also love the fact that we came together. This is a social connection, because that's so
Yes.
important with respect to dealing with stress as well. Just being able to chat, and it doesn't have to be about anything that's stressing us, just having a conversation, because we're social beings.
Yeah.
I know we have so much more that we could talk about. So let's consider this being part one of maybe two parts or maybe more. And we'll schedule something in a week or two, and then continue our conversation, because I know that, just like we found these techniques or tips work for us, I know that other people would find them very valuable. So let's schedule something.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. So nice to see you and talk with you. Have a great day, and we'll see you soon.
Thank you. Thank you for joining me. Have a great afternoon.
Thanks, Sandra. Bye.
Bye.